No intro skit. We're talking about Fomento's video on the Acolyte.
Yippee!
The smoke nightmare will end, thank God for Elon Musk. And his shitpost memes, X is the home for free speech.
I don't want to be too harsh because it does seem like this show was made by a newcomer, and because filmmaking is hard. Doesn't matter if you're a 30-year veteran or a rookie off the bus, you're bound to make mistakes.
First time.
Ah yes, the newcomer Leslie Headland, who has a pretty full resume before The Acolyte, as well as several award nominations and even an award. This is technically her first time creating a show on her own, but that by no means makes her a newcomer. Why am I doing research for you? Even then, what does seems to be a newcomer even mean? It's either made by a newcomer or it's not.
Also, it does not make a lot of sense to complain about someone being a newcomer. By Fomento's own logic, George Lucas was more of a newcomer by the time that he made the original Star Wars. Now, I do not think that the point of someone being a newcomer is any good, but by Fomento's own flawed logic, Star Wars is bad because it's created by a newcomer.
Damn, I didn't know newcomers were bad.
Also, the first time of what exactly? Running a show on her own? Because if you are talking about that, yes, that is her first time, but if you're not talking about that, she has worked on films and shows before.
Still, I do have to point out those mistakes, because the areas where the Acolyte makes its worst errors are some of the most vital organs of TV that every show requires to function. Character, story, relationships, all of which are failed horrendously.
Tag yourself, I'm relationships.
More like cringe relationships.
Brat summer is over, bestie. It's time to enter your historical era.
The first key TV problem here is the character side, which is so lackluster that
I just really hate this random sound effect that is played when he blurs the faces. It's so weird that I thought it was a mistake at first. This is not really a criticism at all, but I just felt like saying my truth.
it's almost impossible to take interest in what the characters do or the events they get into. One reason for this is the lack of character specificity. The way we meet the hero is that she's working as an expert mechanic on this cargo ship, but her being a mechanic isn't a real thing. She uses her droid to fix one module, and that's pretty much it. The mechanic aspect doesn't come more into play, not in this first episode or the later ones, except for the droid maybe once or twice being used as a magical Swiss Army knife.
The droid would not be able to fix the ship without someone or something carrying it outside of the ship. The droid is only a tool droid that cannot really move on its own. You can say this is stupid and dangerous, and you're probably right, because it's a corrupt company that's using people in dangerous situations to possibly shave some cash. Also, yes, a tool is being used as a tool. And are you sure you could have done that? Do you know how this droid works?
The only special thing about the hero to take interest in is that she's a former Jedi student who left the Order for reasons unknown. And even that's not a real thing.
Left the Order for reasons unknown. This is literally explained within the show. She got too attached to her witch cult and decided to leave because of that. You know, given how she was under the impression of her sister dying. Are you not going to mention this?
Osha lost both her mothers and her sister and blamed her sister for killing their family. She cannot let go of these attachments, and that caused her to leave the Order. Sounds pretty familiar.
It sounds just like Max Rebo! I guess Film Man forgot what poetry was and why it rhymes.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
She's not using her Jedi skills or choosing not to use them because they're a trauma for her or something. No, she tries to use the Force once and fails, and that's it.
So believing that your sister died right before joining the Jedi is not a trauma? Get a load of this guy. Also, she probably lost touch with the Force because she has been separated from the Jedi for so long. That's definitely a possibility.
We see Osha have what seems to be panic attacks from the show. That sounds like she might have some trauma to me.
Is there a lore reason why Filmento forgot this? Is he stupid?
You see, this is a reference to Batman Arkham World.
The only tangible worth and content she offers by being a former Jedi is that people talk about it.
Osha joining the Jedi Order literally sets off the plot of the show. If Osha did not want to join the Jedi Order, then she would not have gotten into a fight with her sister May, and Sol and the other Jedis would not have attacked the witch cult she lived in. Literally, if she did not want to join the Jedi Order, the show would not have happened.
Osha and May are literally conduits of the Force. Osha being a former Jedi means something.
You're looking for a former Jedi.
Your own clip proves you wrong. They are not just talking about Osha being a former Jedi. They are bringing this up because they know a former Jedi murdered a Jedi. It's really cool how you took this out of context, mate.
Finally passed your trials.
I made 9.
The major concern about admitting you to the Order was your
She was a devoted Padawan. I trained her.
How do you know this former Padawan?
I was trained to be a Jedi. When that didn't pan out, those skills aren't exactly,
Me when I get angry at dialogue scenes because I have the attention span of a 5-year-old.
Altogether, the hero in practice isn't an expert mechanic or former Jedi or anything. She's just a character, and she could be swapped out with almost any other character without her scenes in practice changing at all. The one and only reason we should find interest in her and her scenes is because she's the hero of a Star Wars show. So look at me and be amazed.
No, I don't think I will.
She could not be swapped out for anyone else, as most people are not twins. And most people are especially not made out of the Force.
Also, this clip is weirdly made. I think he's trying to say he won't look at her, but it comes off as him saying he won't 20 million views. That makes no sense. Also, she never said to look at her. You just put the words into her mouth and then said you would not do it. Makes me think you're looking at her.
In other words, saying, no, I will not do this, only makes sense if someone told you to do something.
I mean, even the Jedis here are so void of special specificity that the main reason you can even tell them apart is because they're all different colors. No Mace Windu to bring attitude, no Anakin to bring individuality.
First off, it sounds strange to call people of different races different colors. Second off, these characters are different. Sol is an individual who does not always listen to the Order.
Vernestra, you know, the green one, is incredibly corrupt. She framed Sol for a murder in order to keep the Sith coming back a secret.
Jackie is a Padawan who tries to be mature to be taken seriously.
This is why she usually asks for permission before speaking.
And Yord's Yord.
The Yord Horde was formed for a reason.
Yord for Chancellor.
No, it's the same mellow, sleep-inducing official personality with them all. The differences don't go beyond one being a bit awkward. Oh wow, super interesting.
Yord, put your clothes on.
If I had a nickel for every time you proved your own point wrong with a clip, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, yada yada, you know the meme.
Also, maybe we could see possible personalities of the characters if we could hear them. A good amount of the clips within this video are silent and we don't ever get to hear them.
Another reason for the lacking character side is lacking motivation. To put it bluntly, the hero is a passive shell who doesn't make events happen, but rather gets pushed by them. She works an irrelevant job on a random cargo ship. She gets visited by Jedis who accuse her of murder and goes with them.
Prison transport will take you back to Coruscant.
Oh, okay.
She watches from the sidelines as other prisoners make an escape plan and then barely leaves her cell by sheer luck.
Also, after Osha escapes, she saves someone's life, an action she's not very passive for.
She waits at the crash site doing nothing and then runs when Jedis come. And then she gets saved by the Jedis and goes with them again.
Let's go.
Yeah, oh, okay.
She doesn't move the story, she gets moved by the story, which is very boring to watch.
Something interesting about the show called The Acolyte is that it's about an acolyte. The acolyte, for most of the show, is Osha's sister May. May pushes a lot of the plot on because the show is not just about Osha, but also about May. It's really about their relationship. Osha does not become the acolyte until the very end of the show. The show literally opens with a scene of May, not Osha.
Way more interesting to watch characters who make stuff happen.
Saul Goodman jump scare!
Another reason for the lackluster character side is the lack of basis for the proposed value. In the first scene of the first episode, the Jedi killer arrives in a small town to fight the local Jedi to the death, and just based on that summary, it should pack insanely intense power. Yet it doesn't. It's about as intense as watching golf.
Back in his stance just a bit, solid contact, and he sinks it.
And while some of that might be due to the poor choreography, look deeper. Notice how there's no basis for why the fight should be intense. We don't know anything about the killer.
That's because it's literally the first scene of the first episode. Of course you don't know who they are. This is what is known as a cold opening. It's supposed to entice you into watching more. Since you clearly don't know the why, that's why you should watch more. And I'm starting to think you didn't even watch.
Me when I don't know everything because of the very first scene of the show. Also, I'm bringing this up again, that these clips are silent for most of the video. Music adds suspense into scenes, and that is just missing within the video.
Even then, you don't even say why the choreography sucks.
The killer, not what she's capable of, or why she hates the Jedi, or if she really even hates the Jedi. And we don't know anything about the Jedi, not what she's capable of, or if she's a real-life person with a purpose worth fighting for here. It just is what it is.
It is almost like this is the first scene of the show, and these things would be entered later into the show.
If only The Acolyte was a full series and not just a fight scene.
I mean, it's not a full series because Disney canceled it.
Also, Trinity from The Matrix appears in flashbacks. We do get more from her. Plus, her death is supposed to be the catalyst for the show. Not every character needs a crap ton of development.
This is a Jedi, and this killer punches some guys and then fights the Jedi. Oh my god.
Nah, without basis for the pre-existing character value, the value does nothing. The Jedi has no existence beyond this one scene, and apparently all it takes to kill a Jedi is to walk up to her and then throw 2 knives.
You literally showed them fighting beforehand! What do you mean, walk up to her with 2 knives?
Also, it is not that she just had knives. She threw one at another person to distract the Jedi to throw another and kill her.
I get this is an exaggeration, but you have exaggerated so much, it's become dishonest. Also, you know what they say about someone with 2 knives, right? He's pretty happy. Unlike me, because I'm watching Filmento.
How dare a Jedi prioritize the life of another person over themselves?
Well, that was pretty easy.
And imagine if the value was built, if the episode led up to this fight. Imagine if the killer shadowed the Jedi throughout her day to find a weakness to exploit.
Why is he treating Jedi like they're all Superman?
May literally did take advantage of a weakness. She wore down Trinity from The Matrix with a fight, and then May threw her knives, taking advantage of Trinity wanting to save a man.
That would establish the killer as a noteworthy assassin and the Jedi as a formidable real-life Jedi person opponent. There would be basis to make this fight carry value.
The only reason why this fight doesn't carry any value is because you have the attention span of me without my ADHD meds.
There she is, the town's local Jedi, equipped with a lightsaber and incredible skills to handle it. But there is one way to get to her.
Without that basis, it's pretty meh. The Jedis in the show as a whole are pretty meh because they don't seem to do anything to earn the value of being a Jedi.
Filmento is doing the thing again where he shows that he has a short attention span and cannot listen to dialogue scenes. Also, the placement of this is strange. He was just complaining about a fight, but now he's complaining about dialogue.
Dude, the opening of this video was a meme of the Jedi in a fight.
Watch out! Run!
How the f did this happen?
Ergo them proving their worth, even if many of them died, but that's more so because of how powerful the Sith was. Are you looking at these episodes in isolation as if they were all independent works? Because that's A, not how a show works, and B, the only way you could come to this conclusion.
The second TV problem here is the story side, which is so empty and bare bones that there's not much entertainment to be found in it.
So empty and bare-boned that Fomento did not even know that Osha becoming a Jedi caused the events of the show.
One half of this is that the objectives generating the narrative are not very strong. At the start of the second episode, the Jedi killer goes to kill another Jedi because her goal is to kill certain Jedis. And then there the Jedi is, sleeping.
He is not sleeping, he's meditating.
She could try to stab him in the back right away to at least injure him. Yet she doesn't. She casually walks in front of him and starts yapping.
Master Torben, we have unfinished business.
And then she punches the air because turns out there's a force field.
Yep, that's autism.
And so then she goes to get poison and gives it to the Jedi, who gladly drinks it because he wants to die because his life apparently has no meaning.
Apparently? Apparently? Why are you acting like this wasn't explained?
He killed himself due to the guilt of the death of the witch cult that he and all the other Jedi with him caused.
Master Torben hasn't spoken to anyone in over 10 years.
And it's like, what the hell is this? We have a Jedi killer who doesn't want to kill Jedi strongly enough to do it when she best can, and we have Jedis who have no reason to live and thus want to die. How exciting. And it's no different with the heroes. They find the killer already in the second episode, and instead of capturing her as per their goal, they mess around with her. The Jedis play fight with the killer until she escapes. The hero purposefully misses a stun shot on the killer so she can drive off. And then they don't even bother following the killer's car, even though they have a spaceship.
There's nothing we can do.
Osha doesn't shoot May because she doesn't want to hurt her sister. She's literally crying in the scene because of the idea of her sister being hurt. Also, May beat the Jedi in a fight. It's not a play fight. I don't even like the Acolyte, and I could tell you that.
Also, most of the people besides Jackie were on the ground. Does she want the ship just to leave them behind?
The show doesn't seem to take its narrative.
May does not just walk in. She gets a kid to open the door for her and then pays the kid. You are showing her paying the kid off.
Of Jedi killings and the effort to stop them too seriously. It doesn't treat them as a big deal. And so neither can the audience.
Me, when I am being investigated for murder while currently murdering people, it's not that big of a deal apparently.
The other half of the empty narrative is the show's malfunctioning story engine. Story engine. The point of the show from which the events and entertainment are generated. It doesn't work here because it changes and also becomes impotent. Initially, the story engine here is very clear and full of potential. A Jedi killer travels around the galaxy to kill Jedis, and when the hero gets accused for that, she must go on a fugitive journey to find the killer and stop her to prove her own innocence. Awesome.
I didn't do it! I don't care!
But then already in the second episode, that changes.
She didn't do it.
It's not a fugitive story anymore. The Jedis already realize that the hero isn't responsible, and they recruit her to assist in the quest of stopping the killer. The show is suddenly different from its original idea.
I see no reason for her to kill Indara.
The evidence against her is strong. Osha has a twin sister.
I believe she is responsible for Indara's murder.
I'm inclined to agree.
What do you mean the plot has changed? The plot is still about hunting down the killer. The only difference is that the Jedi got the murderer wrong once. It's common in a mystery show, which tends to have multiple suspects.
I
am Steven! Too good for this world.
Sudden fundamental changes to the engine like this only make it confusing what the show is.
The show is about trying to find and stop a murderer. Hope that helps.
Oh, the flashback episode isn't about a murder. Yeah, because it's about a flashback. It's supposed to give context to the story, but not be the current events.
And if the change wasn't already bad enough, the story engine here also becomes impotent. See, initially, the story has outward propulsion. The hero is a fugitive. She has to run from Jedis and look for information about where to find the killer and go stop her to prove her innocence. And now all that's gone. The engine has no propulsion.
What is introduced is that Osha now knows that her sister is still alive, which is a pretty big motivation for someone who thought her entire family was dead.
Hero doesn't have to run. She can just tag along with the Jedis and hang out with them.
Her motivation now comes from the fact that her sister is alive, because she thought she was dead.
Man, I can't believe she doesn't move on with her life. Also, Osha is being taken around with the Jedi because of what she knows about her own sister. Do we have to explain everything to you? Do you need to read a synopsis of every episode?
She doesn't have to look for information. She can just let the Jedis use their seemingly endless information and resources. She doesn't have to go anywhere to find anything. She can just sit around in a Jedi ship and then sit around on location and let the Jedis.
The reason why she's a part of these missions is because She wants to know more about her sister.
And the reason why the show lacks relationship depth is tied to the malfunctioning story engine. In episode 3, we suddenly go back in time to explore the hero and the killer as kids, along with a whole other set of characters, which in of itself wasn't the best idea because now the show's main mystery hook of what happened in the past is already answered.
Except not really, because we are far from learning the entire story of what has happened in the past. We know parts of the past, but there's still a lot to learn. We don't even know until the final episode that Soul kills one of the twins' mothers.
All that's left is confusion. Like, what do you mean these witches created twins without a father?
It's called using magic. You don't need a reason. Beyond that, it's because it's a fictional world.
Funny thing is, this is actually explained later in the show. The twins are made from the Force.
Hey, you mentioned that Anakin guy earlier in the video and complimented him for his individuality. He was also born without a father. Maybe Film Man doesn't like that aspect of Anakin as a character, but I still find this a weird point to make, especially when it's merely a question and not really explained at all.
What do you mean Jedis go to random planets looking for children to take?
I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
Jedi have always been doing this. Why are you acting like this is a problem specific to the Acolyte? Remember that Anakin guy you mentioned earlier? He was also taken away from his home as a kid. Plus, it is easier to teach the developing mind of a child something instead of teaching an adult. That's why people say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Kids learn more quickly than adults.
The Jedi also do not want children to be too old to make sure they have less attachment to people. We are told that in the Acolyte, Osha was too old and that was one of the issues. She had attachment. This also happened to some Anakin guy.
Also, screw you for calling Soul, the only good character on the show, a predator.
I mean the hero admires Jedis when the whole point is that she's been raised in isolation in a cult. How would she have heard about the Jedis and why would she wanna be with them more than with her own sister? Oh, there are no proper answers because now we jump back to the present. Okay.
We are shown that Osha wants to see the galaxy, meaning she wants out of the isolation.
She wants to explore stuff. She doesn't want the witch cult or the Jedi to tie her down.
In terms of relationships, the reason diverging episodes like this can be harmful is because they spend time on stuff that doesn't best help the show itself. Like yes, we get background and we explore the sisters' bond and it's all pretty good. But that's not the main bond keeping this show going. We don't watch the show to see the adult sisters interact. They don't really interact.
The twins interact as adults in later episodes. What are you on about?
I have some final thoughts.
Good, because I have none.
This video focuses on the first half of the Acolyte and ignores the latter half. These episodes were out by the time this video came out. If Memento wanted to talk about the Acolyte and ask questions about the show, it should have talked about the whole series to see if those questions were answered instead of just covering the first half of episodes.